We're starting the live now. But oh shit, my damn,
You
as
know,
soon as I started the live, my camera went down, bro.
uh-oh.
Give me a second here. Damn.
I feel like I'm an angel today. Like my shirt is glowing.
Okay, one second, one second.
Okay.
Oh. All right. Okay. Things just worked out for us. I felt like I might have had to like turn off the stream and all this stuff. So
Let me get my
yeah, get that fucking bell ready.
get my the
uh,
minute you start cooking.
yeah, the fucking siren's
Forget.
going off.
Are we live now?
Yeah, we're live, and I'm
So look at
giving them
shout
my
out
good
to all the
mic.
shout out to all the replay viewers out there. Make sure to like, subscribe. Anytime you see this come on during the show, that means we're cooking, all right?
That means we're cooking with hot fire.
Yeah, that means Jacob's gone off, and I'm just gonna shut up. But you know what I've been meaning to ask you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Parry Punch. Where did that come from? How did you create that? Like, what is that?
Oh, so the lore of Parry Punch.
This whole time, I'm like, I've been meaning to ask you, and then like, I forgot. Did he tell me?
Yeah, so here's the lore of it basically. Me and my boy back in the day. Shout out to Alex. I mean,
homie.
Yeah, he even follows the account now. But basically, we're like roommates. This is my first roommate.
Okay.
And we did
college.
Yeah, basically like when I moved out and shit. And we started this thing. You feel me?
Okay.
We started it, but he kind of like we ended up moving out and stuff like that. And I've always been a journalist, right? That's been my thing. So
Okay.
I just basically continued it afterwards.
Okay, so you kept carrying the flag.
And he just like, he does like, or he did UPS at the time. He lives with his mom in like Michigan now.
Oh, okay. Wow.
But that's basically how it all kind of came together.
So you guys kind of were talking, like chopping it up, and
We
you guys
used to
fell
watch
on
the
that
fights
dream?
together. We used to watch the fights together like every weekend.
But I mean, how did you guys come up with Parry Punch?
Oh, so basically he kind of came up with the name.
Okay.
So
okay.
I'll give Alex credit for the name.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I was like, yo, that's a good ass fucking name.
And what is the meaning behind Parry? I guess.
Oh,
like,
okay. So you want the explanation? So basically,
Yeah.
Parry Punch is like in boxing. That's like a defensive tactic
Gotcha.
to parry a punch, right? So you see like you see some of these
the replay viewers are
puns.
gonna rip me, bro. Oh.
Right. So it's like kind of one of those hardcore ones, but it's also like
Yeah.
if you think of I'm trying to think. Okay, championship rounds.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you hear commentators say that a lot, right? And that's an account. That's a Twitter account.
Yeah. Yeah.
So commentators, they'll be like championship rounds. There's other things that are out there that are called like one's called seconds out, which means like the cornermen when the break is over at the end of the round, that's what they say. They're like seconds out.
Got you.
So somebody else has an account that's that seconds out. So that was kind of like where it came from, where it's like Parry Punch is like we noticed that basically these other accounts out there are like these plays on phrases that are said in the game.
No, that's super smart, bro.
And yeah, so there wasn't Parry Punch yet, and Parry Punch is like a super common phrase. You feel me?
I mean, it's almost like what we were doing, the MMA homies. We were looking at like MMA World, MMA Orbit, MMA Guru. We were like, what can we fall under? Same tactic.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like when I saw MMA homies, I was like, that's a good name. You feel me?
Yeah,
like it's
yeah.
super original and sticks out. When I saw my homie came up with Parry Punch, I had the same type of like foresight where I was like,
Feeling?
I could see this being like a credible account because it is about the name too. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? When like you
100%.
choose to follow or even click on an account. So
100%.
yeah, I fuck with our names both. But yeah, that's the lore of Parry Punch.
Gotcha. All right. Now we know.
Now we know. Good little intro into the show, right?
Mm-mm.
So,
and then I didn't see on our topic list. I think as we keep growing this too, two things I'm gonna bring up. We're really gonna start fucking with OBS, and we're gonna start. I'm gonna create a scroll on the bottom that's gonna put our topics.
Okay.
So like it'll be like topic 1, 2. You know what I mean? Like we can have it like a. You ever see guys have that when they do like their Twitch or their like there's another one too that people do, and there's a scroll on the bottom like CNN has it or Fox News has it.
Yeah.
We could put all of our
It's
topics.
like an overlay or something.
Yeah, we could put all of our topics just running. So the topics that I saw that you sent to me.
I think I have maybe like a ghetto way of doing it.
Okay, that's fine. But I'm looking at the topics. We got like 10 of them.
Okay.
But where's the gorilla topic? I didn't even know.
Yeah. I've been seeing this.
This whole time I was like, what are we talking about? You're like, oh, okay. You guys are talking about fighting a real life gorilla.
Yeah, I saw a simulation today, and it didn't go well for the humans.
Yeah, people want to die.
Yeah.
So
you're with me then.
Yeah. Oh, you can fight a chimp. He's gonna fuck you up.
I agree. I don't see any hope for the humans.
No.
Because what's the real number? Is it 100 or 1,000?
It's at 100. 100.
Definitely not 100. I feel like one gorilla will easily kill 100 humans.
You know, it's funny hearing people's takes, right?
Yeah.
And Chael had a take. I was listening to Chael.
I saw his thumbnail. I didn't click on it though.
Uncle Chael. He's always on it, bro. You know he'd be dropping content like this.
I know. He's got a good rhythm to it. A good algorithm.
And he was like, he kind of sold me. He's like, he goes, I don't know. He goes, what if 100 people pin the gorilla down? I was like, that's actually, maybe that could happen. 100 people is a lot of people.
All at once, just like kind of mob him.
Yeah, like that's kind of, and then he's talking about when a man had to pin down a bear. And the man won. I don't know. It wasn't Mark Coleman, but it was like some famous wrestler.
Oh, okay.
And he did a move on the bear, and he tapped, and he choked him out. The bear didn't have any claws though. So it was like a tame bear at this moment.
Yeah, because those claws are really what's gonna get you.
Yeah, and just but it was the strength, right? And I guess so. He kind of sold me on that fact. I was like, all right, but I was like the gorilla's gonna kill a couple people. That's really someone's gonna die though.
Definitely.
Breaking news: 100 men versus gorilla. Man, gorilla died, but 10 men died too.
Type in gorilla simulation or gorilla versus human simulation when you're done with this, and see what the ChatGPT like drew up. It's basically just like a sped up version, and these people versus the gorillas. You just see like the gorillas just making headway on these people, on this like fucking mass of people. Like there's no pushback from the other side. It's just like mowing through it. See, I'm like, that's what I think would happen.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, yeah, it's like, because how would you stop the momentum of that? That's good too. Like, how would you stop the momentum of that power?
Right.
Like you could maybe, but I think you're right. Alexa, who would win? One gorilla or 100 men?
From knowyourmeme.com. Some posted simulations that overwhelmingly showed the gorilla defeating 100 men.
I also think it's the height factor because gorillas like stand up, they're tall. Versus if you're talking about that bear, right? As big as they are, they're on the 4 legs. I mean, they do stand up, but they're not as well versed. I mean, bears are pretty badass though. They fucking like claw, but if you don't got the claws,
dude, 100 men versus a bear, a lot of men would die.
Definitely.
A lot of men.
That too.
So, what if he like called a homie over? He's like, like, I don't know, bro.
I know. Like an army of gorillas versus an army of humans, that's even worse. That's why we have weapons.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly.
That's why we have weapons.
I guess it was Mr. Beast that did the original post. I was like, every once in a while, but I think it's like once a quarter, you just see these funny, crazy posts. Like, all right. And it's entertaining.
Right. I guess because it's fresh on my mind right now, it'll be quick, this Kayla Harrison topic. So I made that post, right, saying like, is she, the biggest industry plant? And my opinion, I feel like she is an industry plant. I feel like we didn't, like Demetrius Johnson, a male champion at the time. we had a hard time catching on to him. If we didn't want to see him fight, it's like, how can we say that we want to watch Kayla fight?
You know, okay. I think there's like I'm your wrong audience, right? Because I'm more of a diehard.
Yeah.
But the casuals out there, like I was even, you know what? This conversation leads into another conversation because when Joe Rogan talked about the pay-per-views slumping down, and they just had another post about UFC Kansas City gate down, and they're saying that the casuals are now not spending as much money because we're getting this product into us so much. It's weekly, right? And so it kind of leads into that conversation too, where, you know, I think the casual people, they didn't really want to see Demetrius Johnson. I think I don't know if she's an industry plant, but people just think that she can defeat all the top girls and she coming in from another organization. So you get a little bit of a hype train there.
I guess that's the biggest. I can see that, and that's making them overlook or kind of not mention the fact that she can't really sell. But then it's like you bring that up with Bilal Muhammad every chance you get. So it's like, that's my thing. Like, I feel like Kayla Harrison gets a lot more push from the UFC even than a Bilal Muhammad.
Let's say this. Who are the top 3 women fighters of all time, right?
Holly Holm, Ronda Rousey, Amanda Nunes.
Okay, so I was going to say Amanda Nunes would be number 1 for me.
Yeah.
Probably Ronda Rousey, just because of how much she did for the sport to get it to that point for women. I never was a big Holly Holmes fan, you know? Like, I guess...
Just because she's the one to beat her is kind of like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like the
that's
Aspinall,
true, too.
Jon Jones. But there's like a Valentina, Rose Namajunas. But I think more people watched that Holly Holm fight.
I think, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And she defeated someone like, oh, you know, she's the greatest woman of all time, right? And then we started seeing a new caliber of women step into the arena that had more skills than just jiu-jitsu. So Kayla, in this instance, you know, has stepped in when that side of the sport has grown. There have been a handful of, I think Valentina, she's getting up there. She gets a couple more wins under the belt, right? She's going to really solidify herself as one of the best of all time in women's sport. But I just think there's a fall off when it comes to women's, you know, fans that really want to watch women fight. The casuals really, they're still not all the way in the boat. The diehards, like, you know, me probably are more, but we're even you and I, we're not all the way in sometimes.
Definitely not. I mean, I'm actually more intrigued of this Kayla Harrison fight with Juliana Pena.
Oh yeah, me
too. I feel like Juliana is the only woman who understands the game that the men are playing as well and tries to play by those rules and tries to make things exciting.
And she's gritty.
And she's also a good fighter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She had that gritty win over Amanda. So I don't got much bad to say about Juliana, you know, because people probably think that I just hate the women. And it's like, no, like you do what I kind of like always say about everybody on a universal scale, then I don't have anything negative to say. You know, so I'm kind of intrigued for this fight, but not for Kayla Harrison. And it's like, let's see who gets pushed more by the UFC, Kayla Harrison's story, right, or Juliana's story. But they're going to say that, oh, we pushed Kayla. This is what Dana says because he's done it in the past. The answer is, well, we're pushing Kayla, and then if it's not disrespectful because if Juliana wins, then she gets to take all that hype that we built up for Kayla. So it's a win-win for both people. But it's like,
I think really too what they're able to kind of lean on as well is like we have this other champion from another organization. That's always kind of spices things up, right? Someone from another organization comes to the UFC. Can that person defeat our best person? They kind of are taking, you know, steps with Kayla, right?
There is intrigue with that for sure.
Yeah. And so then it's like now you're going to be fighting one of the top level people in this organization. What do you really got? And then, but if she goes through Julia Pena, people are like, whoa, okay, maybe she is that girl. Maybe she is that person. I forgot who's the champ in that division.
Well, it's Juliana.
Oh yeah, that's right. My bad.
That's right.
So they're fighting for the belt.
They're fighting for the belt.
Okay.
Let me give you this one. Let me give you this one too, right? And kind of proves my point, right? Don't feel bad about that even because I don't expect you to know everything that's going on in this women division.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So whatever, it's okay. Let me just mention this though. So Juliana and Kayla, I had such a good point. Oh, so Kayla, after her, I think it was her UFC debut, right? She's only had one fight, if I'm not mistaken, maybe
I
two.
think it's two.
Okay, I think she's had two. But after her last fight, right? After she got that win, she went back. She was in the octagon, right, doing her interview.
Yeah.
And then the UFC production team had a camera planted in Juliana's locker room, and they pan backstage, so it was this double thing, right?
Yeah.
Bro, can you tell me that's another time that's happened for any other contender?
And remember, they did this too. They had Amanda Nunes going like this.
Yeah.
On TV at home.
Exactly, pushing both of these things. But when has that happened for any other contender? When has a contender, a number one contender, male or female, been in that octagon, and when he or she wins their fight, the UFC's panning backstage to the champion? When have they done that?
Yeah, I mean,
because Gene Silva, right? Gene Silva, Bryce Mitchell just happened a week ago. 2 featherweights, right? Championship main event. They didn't do that for Gene Silva.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's just a quick example.
Yeah, but they know that they can build up Kayla though. They know that. They? Well, I mean, they just due to the fact of like people think she's that good, and so they're trying to keep building her up, right? Because when they first got her, or drafted her, or put her in the organization, the goal was that she could beat everybody in the UFC that's a woman fighter.
Right. They've obviously signed her for her to be champion. That's the goal.
They really did. They really have, and that could be the person, and that's the intrigue, right? Can this person from another organization come into this organization, the best in the world, UFC, and defeat our people? We're gonna give her a couple easy ones. She got the win. Did she beat Holly Holmes or something?
Somebody.
Yeah, I think she beat Holly Holmes. So, but we were like, well, she washed up though. Like that don't really know. Now this means something.
This one means more.
You mean Julia Pena? That means something.
I couldn't even tell you either woman she's fought.
And then you become champion, right? And then what are they going to do? They're going to try to get Amanda Nunes out of retirement.
Right. And then, well, this brings up another point about this whole thing. See, I didn't even have a lot going into this, but as like the conversation continues with some of the people on Twitter, I learned more things. So apparently Amanda Nunes has the 3 lowest selling pay-per-views of all time.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
And so, like you had mentioned, that's the whole plan, right? Is to drag her out of retirement for Kayla. But why is this even a plan, right? Like, why are we working? Why do we give a fuck about like trying to make this thing happen with the woman who holds the 3 lowest selling pay-per-views of all time? Why do we want her back? Like, and her with Kayla's supposed to draw up this, like, that's why I'm so confused. Let me just finish it with this, right? The answer to the question, in my opinion, is this. I feel like the women's MMA is obviously failing right now. And that's why they signed Kayla Harrison. Obviously, she probably asked for big money, so they're trying to recoup their investment. They're going to spend a little bit more on her to make a little bit more in hopes, like a record label does, right? With rappers.
Okay. With
that all being said, I think it's pretty disingenuous because you can do the whole hype machine. You can buy the views, so to speak, if we're talking record label talk, right? You could buy the views and inflate all the numbers. But at the end of the day, I feel like they're only doing this because the women's division needs to be saved. So they're overhyping things, trying to be like, here's the answer for it. Here, it's good now. That's what I think they're trying to do and be like, yeah, it's good, guys. Like, don't question us anymore. And I'm like, bro, you can't just like prop this girl up there and be like, all the problems are solved. Like, in my opinion, she's not even the one you guys are looking for. If you were to turn her into a guy and that type of personality, it's not going very far.
Think about this. I'm gonna add something to you. I think you respect this. Imagine we go to a house party, bro, and there's 50 people there. Out of those 50, they say between the ages of 18 to 35. All right, so you got a mix of a little bit of everybody, right?
Right.
Little barbecue, music, fucking. Out of all those people there, how many people do you think are UFC fans?
I'd say, based off my experience, 50%.
You think 50%? I would say 10%. I would say
men and women are there. Men and women are there.
Men and women are there.
Well, I guess that's already 50% is like already. So maybe like half of that, because like half the dudes.
Okay, so you're thinking more 25%.
I don't know. Maybe okay. So let me think like this. If I were to go around and ask,
You
like,
think there's 10 people in that party that like UFC? That's 10%. So 10% would be 5 people.
probably not, to be honest with you.
And the reason I say that, if I think about this, if I think like like a group of guys that I also work with, there's probably 25 guys that I know. I would say 5 of them maybe I could talk UFC. The other 15, like I could bring up.
Yeah. To make that point, right? Shout out to Alex, who I mentioned earlier in the podcast, who I came up with the whole thing with, right? We were the only 2 homies. We had a big group of homies, and me and him were like the only ones who stayed in and watched UFC.
Okay, and now let's take that same. And I could bring it into like house music, right?
Yeah.
I can go to a house music event. Let's just say they have 50 people there. That's like an underground event. I bet you, bro, like maybe 5. I could be like, hey, did you watch that Ian Gary Carlos Breakfast fight? And the
Definitely
other,
not that one.
right? And another 40 be like, who, what, huh?
Right.
You know what I mean? And then like, let's just say out of those 5 or 10, let's just say 10, bro. How many do you think watch prelims and watch women's fighting?
Very few. A lot of those people are gonna be like, I'm a McGregor fan. I'll watch McGregor.
Right. So those are your casuals, right? And so even out of those 10 that we took, maybe 1 knows who Kayla Harrison even is, who Julia Penna is, because those are the diehard guys, right? Those are the guys that we're kind of building the community with, that we could just chop it up and have this conversation all day, you know?
Yeah.
And so when you look at it as a whole, like think about the NBA right now, the playoffs are going on. That product, or the NFL draft that just happened, that's almost in everybody's household.
It is.
You know, and so, but the WNBA, it's getting bigger, and I think that's what the UFC is trying to do with MMA, the women's side of it. They're trying to build it by building these stars, as we could say. But really, the stars have to be the people that just can keep winning, you know? And
Or the ones that the fans vote as like the stars.
And someone that, you know, that like, I hate to say it, but like if you're super cute too, it's an added level, because there's a lot of men involved. And we want to see the fine girl, you know what I mean? Like
Definitely.
we want to see the hot chick, you know? And so that's why when you see them, they kind of doll them all up, even though some of them aren't like super cute.
And you'll see they do give them some easy opponents. Maybe not Polyana Viana, but like Mackenzie Dern, they give her decent opponents.
But that's a good example, right? Polyana Viana or Diana Belbita.
Yeah.
That's it. You know what I mean? Like they're done. Rob, you out of here? All right, brother. Have a good night. All right, cool.
Peace out, Rob.
Rob made an appearance. But you know, I even thought about that as like, I think about some of the hottest girls in MMA, and I was like, these girls just can't hang. You know what I mean? Like, you know what's crazy? I think Valentina's fighting on this next card, and Alexa Grasso. I was surprised that they had 2 female fights on the main card at UFC 315. Look at this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now you're gonna start
bad
cooking.
taste.
You're gonna get mad because like they should have put her on the prelims.
Definitely. Because it's like, you know, like we're saying, right? If you look at it in a basketball context, people are watching the NFL draft, but how many people are watching, or NBA, the female NBA draft? Do you know what I mean?
Oh.
But we get it mixed in with our stuff, and that's fine. That's fine. But don't put it, like I'm saying, don't put it on the pay-per-view. If it has to be a title fight, sure. But it's almost like it's getting to a point where it's like, it's not enough, bro, just to be like, okay, 2 title fights, because that's what this is about to be. 2 title fights, O'Malley and Merab, and Kayla versus Juliana. And they're gonna call it a 2 title fight pay-per-view and act like that's deserving of the money. Bro, at this point, it's like, give us 2 male title fights and then squeeze that female one in there, because it's not enough, dude. For the females to be the co-main event, it's a show killer.
It's interesting now looking at all this, and this is a good segue of the conversation, right? Because I'm looking at it like, before, when we used to have barbecues with like the homie Ray and shit, and I saw him over the weekend. It's the first time we watched a fight in over a year.
Okay.
And we were talking about it. It's like, you know, we would do that like once every 3 months there was a huge title fight on pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
Because back then, like even before COVID, like there wasn't a pay-per-view every month. And so now they give you these every fight nights, right? And they try to give you like some type of name that, you know, that's a decent fight. But back then I used to say they're watering down their product. They're giving the consumer too much where it's almost like we don't have enough time to miss it.
And that's why you're getting the women in the co-mains?
I mean, that's why you kind of have to mix it in, right?
Because like you need to save that. Like I'm saying, right, we want a second male title fight in the co-main, but they're like, no, we need to save that for like another show down the road.
Or, you know, those I mean, and I'm just thinking as a big picture. I'm not talking about our diehards here. For everybody that wants to call back and say we're casuals or whatever and shit. Like big picture, the consumer does not know who the women fighters are.
They don't at all.
Like the very like casual guys that just get a pay-per-view, they're in college or, you know, they have homies and they just, we're going to, you know, buy the fight. And now even thinking about it, what they said, they're not buying the fight every month anymore. They're either trying to stream it off something else.
Mm-hmm.
They're not hyped about it. The homies aren't coming over for the prelims. They're not even coming over for the co-main. They're coming over for that main event.
Right.
And we talk about too, like how many people would trickle into a pay-per-view fight at your homie's house, and you're like, "Oh, did the main fight start? Oh, I'm down the street. I'm on my way." While you're there, right? While you're there, just like, you know, getting everything ready. Hey, where you at, bro? Like, hey, the fight's about to start. Like, your good friend stop by for the first fight, and you have one
a couple, a couple,
right?
But the majority get there the co-main to the main,
and the majority of those guys, they still don't even know who the RDR Rainier de Ritter is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know who the Bo Nichols are, right? And they barely know who Ian Gary or Carlos Pratis is. They probably are barely finding out about who Bilal Muhammad is.
Yeah, that's my point. It's hard for the guys themselves. So that's what I'm saying. Like, when it comes to the women, treat them accordingly. Not in any type of like sexist shit. Just like, like treat them accordingly in terms of what you can sell.
Yeah,
it's all about that at the end of the day. But I get they're trying to create this market. It's just like I don't think it's ever going to exist.
Yeah, I think you're talking, you know, big picture, big level here. Like when you really think about who the fan base is, you know, it's a percentage of a percentage, and what you're talking about is even a percentage of a percentage.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
definitely. So, and you got to have the one girl. Like I think maybe something to draw right is look at the WNBA, how the complaint has been for the longest time nobody wants to watch it. But as of late, they have had some women come in, the Caitlin Clarks of the world, the Amber, I don't know, the black girl,
Angel Reese.
You know, they do draw attention, right? And so that's actually organic. On social media, they do draw numbers. Look at them as stars who draw attention to the sport, and then take a look at Kayla Harrison as a comparison. It's not the same thing. She's not that. So that's all I'm trying to say.
And think about this, though. Let's use Caitlin Clark as an example. I've had this conversation with a couple of friends, actually, that we watch NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Caitlin, I watch actually some of the Caitlin Clark's college games. Those were really fun to watch. And then I asked, I was like, but did you watch her in the WNBA? Bro, I didn't watch one WNBA game with her. The hype was there for that. I just wanted it because it was exciting. And then after she went to WNBA, I was like, all right, I'm good.
It fizzled out.
Yeah,
because there's no like tournament and shit like that.
It just I was like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a diehard WNBA fan.
Yeah, I feel it.
People barely watch some of the NBA games for men during the regular season. It doesn't get to the playoffs where people like get really excited. Now, if it comes to football, bro, if I have my specific team, I'm more of a diehard, you know. But football has a big fan base.
Right. Okay. We can move on to the next topic.
Right. Yeah.
Let's check out. Let me see. We got some good ones. So let me just hit the good ones first. We might as well, right? Okay. You can choose.
Okay.
Francis Ngannou with that accident. Rest in peace, if it's true.
Yeah.
Or SD Dumas arrested for the 13th time. Now, I've got 2 interviews with the man, so I've got something to say.
All right, we'll do the Ngannou one first.
Okay.
I mean, that's just such an unfortunate circumstance, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think that could happen to anybody out there, you know, unless like we found out that he was like drinking and driving, but accident happens all the time.
Mhm.
You know, I think it's just a really unfortunate situation that happened that a famous person was involved in. I mean, that just and you know he's probably like, fuck, man, like now he has to live with that, you know.
Yeah. I
And
wouldn't
that's the
say there's
thing.
any fault on his behalf unless there's something we don't know, you know?
Right, right, and that's what I mean too. Like, you know, so I think it's just a really, really like bad accident, really,
Yeah.
really unforeseen and unfortunate. Someone lost their lives.
And, you know, his son just tragically lost his life last year. So it's one of those, you know, when it rains, it pours
Yeah.
situations.
Well,
Sometimes,
see,
like, crazy things happen, like, all at once.
well, what's crazy is this is like if you think about it, he lost someone and then he took someone.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're feeling at both ends of the spectrum now, like, you know, like grieving a son, and then like in this instance, you're more like you you're putting another family in a situation where they're grieving for somebody of something that, you know, you were involved in.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, every day's a blessing. Shit, dude.
Yeah. So apparently the girl was 17 years old, you know? Either
He was
she was on a
on a motorcycle.
motorcycle
Yeah.
or he was on a motorcycle that hit her. The
Yeah.
story is very like, you know,
And it just happened what,
unclear.
yesterday was it?
Easter weekend. So that was
Oh, so
what,
this
a week ago, almost 2
oh,
weeks ago.
oh, and the story barely broke.
It broke like the week after.
Oh, I thought it just happened like a few days ago.
No, basically when it broke, it was like a week after it.
Got you. All
Yeah.
right.
So
All
I
right.
mean, at least, you know, Francis was able to pay the bills and do his part on like whatever he could do. But apparently the girl passed away before surgery. My question, if I could ask anybody, would be like how long passed between her suffering the injury and when surgery was going to take place? Like days, hours,
Right.
you know,
Right.
just to be, you know, curious about like how fatal that accident was.
Yeah. And I guess I'd be curious too, like, you know, was he driving a truck and he hit her and she was in a bike? Was he going fast? Did he like
Obviously, was there alcohol involved?
yeah.
Because it's Easter weekend, you know.
Yeah, yeah, we're getting to the nitty gritty of it. Like I said, how ironic that you lose a family member, a son, and now someone else's family is losing their daughter. You
Yeah.
know?
Apparently, there's an investigation underway though.
Okay. And it happened in Africa?
It happened in Africa, yeah.
Gotcha.
But it's an ongoing investigation, so there could be more details that are going to play out soon. I'm sure, honestly, there's been interviews done and shit like that at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, police interviews and stuff just to get the stories and the recounts of like what happened.
Yeah.
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 From the
It's a-
family.
it's a very sad situation.
Very sad. So, rest in peace to that
R.I.P.
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should I say her name? I should say her name, huh? Just to be respectful.
We
I have
have
it
it.
written down. Yeah. Let me see. What is her name? Natasama Bridget Manuela. Rest in peace.
R.I.P. Yeah.
Now SD Dumas, 13th arrest. I mean, I gotta pull up these details, man. They're pretty crazy.
And he's already cut from the UFC prior to this, right?
I don't think so. I believe he's still under contract.
Did he win his last one?
He didn't, but he won the one before that.
Yeah.
So he was coming off a win, and then he
He's
lost.
been up and down, yeah.
Yeah. So let me pull out the details, and then we'll do a little bit of a reaction to it.
Mm-hmm.
So SD Dumas arrested on multiple charges, including battery and robbery, and he's currently being held on more than $500K bond. I believe it's $585,500, so $585,500.
Okay.
More details on it, right? So
He basically got to come up with like 60 grand to get out.
600 grand, pretty much.
Well, I mean, usually you got to pay 10% of what the bond is.
Oh, okay, so 60.
Yeah, typically. So like a bondsman will, you come to them and you're like, hey, you know, can you bond me out? They're going to want 10% of that down, or you're going to ask them to stay in.
Okay, so it's like some type. Okay, got you. That's how people pay like $1 million bails. Then
Yeah.
it's not
yeah.
a full milli. It's like 100,000.
But like, let's say they run, they owe that. They owe the 500.
So it's like you owe a
the
house.
court.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel that. Okay, so let me just say this. Some of the other charges listed are for possession of a weapon or ammo by a convicted felon in Florida, possession of drug equipment, and possession of drugs/controlled substances without a prescription. So I feel like there's
Cody?
some reading between the lines that needs to be done a little bit here, if I'm being honest.
That sounds like codeine.
Yeah, I mean, because
Controlled
unless
substance, but the
is weed
medical.
legal in
Yeah,
Florida?
but a controlled substance isn't considered like weed. Like codeine is considered more of a controlled
Yeah,
substance.
or like a Xanax,
Xanax, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Some or opioids,
Adderall.
right? Basically opioids.
Good, yeah.
Um, so okay, let me say. I said that prayers up for SD. I think he's a good guy based off everything I've kind of spoken to him about. I think he's dealing with troubled circumstances. Off the top of my head, he just lost his grandfather. I know he doesn't have a good relationship with his baby mama. It seems it's back and forth. There's been some controversy there. I don't think he's like beating the crap out of her and stuff, but I think that their arguments are like volatile. And I think she calls the cops on him in these situations and tries to get him kicked out of the house. And then even after that all happened, we did an interview and he was telling me they made up and they're all good.
Okay.
So I think let me say this. Also about SD, his coach is dealing with brain cancer.
Yeah,
so I just think the guy's dealing with a lot of things. He's trying to be a man. He has kids. He lost his fight. Let's not act like the world is super expensive. You know what I mean? And like it's not hard to get by, right? Just for your average guy, especially your average UFC fighter. And he has kids. So with all that being said, I feel like there could be some more to the story that people aren't exactly considering. You know what I mean? With everything I just said, like home invasion. I'm just gonna kind of go on this tangent real quick. Home invasion. He's out of his family's house, like with his girl and with his kid. So he lives somewhere else. When we did an interview, he was like, I think he had like a roommate, but he had like a bunk bed and shit, as a grown man.
Mm-hmm.
So like obviously he's like living in some apartment like away from his family, and he has to go visit his kid. And so I feel like I don't think he went and robbed a fucking house, and like some random shit like that. I think this home invasion or this robbery type thing is probably, if I were to guess, him going to his baby mama's house, trying to maybe get his belongings, maybe trying to speak to his daughter, and he's in an argument with his baby mom at the moment. That's a guess, and I will apologize if I'm wrong, but I just feel like a lot of people are looking at that charge and being like, home invasion, like, and I guess it said home invasion without a weapon.
Okay.
But then it also charges him with a weapon somewhere else. So that's a little bit confusing. But if it says home invasion without a weapon, I feel like that's even more of the case. Yeah, you weren't going to rob anybody. I feel like a home invasion is you went into your baby mom's house unwanted.
And she called the cops, and like it just led into
and all this shit. Because imagine if they're having this back and forth. Don't come over. Don't come over. Don't come over. He shows up. Boom. Call the cops.
Right.
Maybe she hasn't. And I'm not trying to accuse her. I'm just drawing.
Or she comes home and he's broken.
Something like that.
Right.
But I don't think that's the same when you're dealing with a bad relationship as going and robbing a old lady's house for money. I think they're two different things, and people are painting a picture.
I think people are going to jump to assumptions very quickly just due to the fact of how many times he's been arrested. And then you start adding all of the descriptions that they're adding to what his charges are. And so people are going to have any sympathy for him. You're going a little bit deeper into the fact of what's going on in his, everyday life and what's going on in his livelihood. And it's almost like, I don't know if you know who Maurice Claret is.
Yeah. No, I don't.
Maurice Claret was a Ohio State football player, college football player. I think he won the Heisman, bro. He got drafted like number 1 or number 2. Fast forward into what happened is that he got caught up robbing somebody. He went to prison for 5 years. And everybody was like, dude, what the fuck, bro? You had all this going for you, and then you go and do that?
Yeah,
Why?
I'm going to say I don't think SD did that. I could be wrong.
But, as time goes, we're going to, we could be talking a whole different story next week. You know what I mean?
We could, yeah.
So I'll wait to kind of like leave a comment as well. In my eyes, though, bro, like just dealing with people that have been in and out of jail all the time. And, 13 times to keep putting yourself in a position to like deal with cops.
Yeah.
You know, either A, you can't you it's almost like that expression, you can move out the hood, but you can't take the hood out of the homie.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like he just always seems to somehow get in some type of trouble, you know? And
Yeah.
so I don't know what this situation is though. So I'll wait to you know, next week to have more clear opinion on the matter. I'll
Mm-hmm.
give them the benefit of the doubt with you.
Yeah.
The only thing that looks bad and why people are jumping in subjects is because of how many times it's happened.
Right. And I just feel like it's a narrative where like a lot of them, just the young kids, the troll accounts, it's easy just to laugh and be like 13th arrest, haha, fucking dumbass. But it's like, bro, life's not fucking easy, and I think this guy is trying to change. But like we all go through life. You know, me, you and me, right? We're grown ass men. A lot of the people who are hating on him aren't really grown ass men who have experienced life at all. That's why I'm like, bro, like I can, even if SD's crashing out a little bit, like I can just resonate a little bit, and I'm holding out hope that it wasn't anything like super nasty. Like if he went and robbed a woman on the street, I don't have any sympathy for you.
Yeah,
That's fucked
exactly.
up, and by all
Right.
means, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm shooting him that bail. Maybe I sound like his fucking lawyer right now, but I wanted to add one other thing, which is also like the weapon. We did an interview, and he told me that he has friends who have been shot and killed. He's been shot. So you guys just have to hold back your judgments, because a guy who comes from a place like this has to carry a weapon. Because it said possession of a weapon by a convicted Florida felon. Knife or whatever it might be, right? But you have to keep in mind, this guy comes from a place where he has friends who have died from gun violence. Gun violence is a part of his everyday life. And you hear that about the people in the hood a lot, where it's like, you're going to put me back in the environment where I have to carry a gun, but you're going to make it a stipulation where I can't carry. So either I can lose my life, right, walking around these streets, not carrying, or I can go back to jail, but at least be protected and keep my life if something happens. So just food for thought. I know you probably understand what I'm saying there, but these kids don't understand that.
It's funny because I'm almost on the other side of the coin, where it's like,
Okay.
I have a hard time giving sympathy for people that have been in and out of jail,
Mm-hmm.
because I've been around it so much, where it's all like, some people just can't get out of it. Some people just can't stop making the bad decisions. And I get to a point with people like that where it's like, dog, you know what? I'm over here trying to do right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not over here, you know, making those same mistakes. I'm actually putting myself out of that position. But for the longest time, bro, I was strapped up for the longest time, bro. Like,
Right.
I definitely know that life. And you have to make a conscious decision to say, I'm leaving it alone. I'm done with it. I'm not even going to associate with people like that. So like I said, I don't know what he's still doing. I don't know if
I
he's
hear
still
you.
I don't know if he's still associating himself with people. If he is trying to get out and he unfortunately somehow got sucked back in, maybe you're right. Maybe
Yeah.
like something happened with his baby mama and things got blown out of proportion, and then the cops just started adding charges because they could. That could be the case.
Because he's got a reputation. They're like, oh, this guy again. Okay, we're going to hit you with the book. Oh, you're
Yeah.
that famous UFC fighter.
A lot of times what happens too is you can get like 20 charges. You get to court and they're like, all right, we're gonna just give you these 5 though.
Yeah, like the Xanax
If-
and shit, or the controlled substance. I
Right.
feel like that was totally just throwing the book at him.
And so, like, believe me, when you get arrested, they're gonna do that to you. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
then when the prosecutor gets it, we're gonna see what can stick.
Mhm.
We're gonna come to you and say, "Hey, you want to take a plea deal? We're not gonna charge you with these, but you plead guilty to these 5, and you're gonna do however much time." You know? And so, and if you got caught up with the strap, I mean, that's all bad. Especially here in California, bro. If you get caught up with the strap, oof.
Yeah, I wonder how it's like in Florida.
I think they're more open. I think
They
it's a
are,
little-
right? They are.
I believe. I don't know, but I believe they are. But
Florida's like Arizona.
Arizona's like you can walk around. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
funny. I was just there and I see motherfuckers just. I was like, all right. But I think as more details come out,
We can make more judgments then.
yeah, and I think too. If this was the first time, people would probably be like, oh, you know what, they would be easy. They would not be so hard on him.
Mm-hmm.
But since it's been so many times, and how many times is it? And then you add, like you said, they don't know that lifestyle, or
Mhm.
they've never been in that side of the tracks. It's easy to judge on the other side.
Right.
So I know myself. I'm a lot harder on people that have been through this system, because I expect more out of them, and especially people in the UFC. I definitely would expect more out of them. To be like, bro, you need to completely get yourself away from that environment.
Yeah.
Put yourself over here, so you're not even putting yourself in those positions anymore. And if you have a drama baby mama, that's a whole nother subject too. You know what I mean? Like, so it happens with the end. And man, look at John Morant, bro.
All these NBA guys, the one you mentioned last week.
Yeah, and John Morant over there, got caught up with the strap and stuff like that. It's like, bro,
that situation, yeah.
I was like, bro, what are you doing, dog? Like, you just got paid like 20 mil.
Yeah.
Why do you need to put yourself in that position? And what happened? You got suspended for like half a year. You know what I mean? Like, and these are things that some guys just don't want to leave the hood alone. Like I said, I don't know what his situation is. So
yeah.
Well, let's do a part 2 next week on it.
We'll kind of leave him alone, but yeah, that shit's rough because I do understand what you're saying, and I kind of resonate with it. It's like with this pills or whatever it might have been, the opioid that he probably got caught with. Yeah. Do I carry around opioids every day? No. So do I do opioids? No, because I got to live a regular fucking life. So there are some things where it's like, you got to operate on the standard of everyone else. And I hear what you're saying, where it's like, leave that environment behind. You can't be dabbling in it and then in a sense be getting bail when you stuck your foot in that pond. I feel like that's what you're kind of saying. And I can agree with that too.
And a lot of times you'll see a person on camera, but you don't know the real person in their day-to-day life.
That is true as well.
Like some people haven't left alone the hood in the game. They still want to tip their toe in it. I'm a perfect example of that, bro. I used to do like 50-50. Like, I'm over here doing all these good things, but I'm still hanging with the homies though. I'm still putting myself in situations where there's shootouts or there's people like doing A and there's people doing B, and it's like, how can collateral damage is real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you put yourself in enough positions where there's enough shootouts.
Look at Gilly's son.
Whose son?
Gilly and Wallow?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And Gilly's son, who was caught up in a drive-by shooting from a rival hood, and he's not even a gang member, but he was kicking it with the homies. Just the exact story you just said. Another fighter I interviewed, he told me the same thing. He grew up in the hood, and several times he was with the homies, and people ran up in the house and ransacked that shit with guns and weapons. You know what I mean? On some rival shit. It's a wild world out there.
And some people, they're so accustomed to it where it's second nature. And when you get into these like the NFL and the NBA and the UFC, hopefully you get to that point where it's like, that's what was supposed to get you out though. Yeah. That's you getting out of the gutter and trying to make something with yourself.
You made it this far.
Yeah, and leave that world behind. Stop getting caught up in it. And I think this situation is, like I said, if it was 1 or 2 times, I think you're going to get a lot more pass. But 12 or 13, people are going to be like, oh, well, how many passes are you going to get?
Right. Hey, so we'll put it like this, right? I tried to give him bail, but hey, you gotta listen to MTK too. He's been through it. He knows people more than me that are like SD. So let's see what happens. His opinion. I'm kind of seconding a lot of the stuff you say. I shoot him bail, but like you say, the guy who I interviewed, he could also put on a nice face and stuff like that. I think it's good that I was able to present the other side of the argument, just because there's so much of the piling on from the one side. It's like, let's just at least open our mind that some things could be up in the air.
Yeah, and let's see where what more news comes out, and we can report on it, and see where our opinions land there.
Definitely. Okay. I guess we can do the UFC KC recap and then maybe also just work into the fights this weekend, even though it's not very much.
Okay.
UFC KC recap. I don't got much other than the main event. I even did a stream for most of the main card. Oh, okay. Let me shout out Randy Brown.
Okay, yeah.
Actually, shout out Randy Brown. Interview dropped today. Go tap into the interview, but go ahead.
Okay. Where was that Randy Brown when he fought Brian Battle?
Yeah.
I want that consistency.
Yeah. Well, maybe, maybe Battle's that good. Maybe Battle's that good.
I mean,
because I guess Dalby is 40.
And yes. And I think that answers a lot of questions of where we now have Dalby on our top 20. I mean, I think he now got pushed out. Mike Malat's about to fight next month. He's gonna, I think we've been talking about him a little bit, been pushed in. I know Randy Brown's been on both of our radars, being in that top 15. He didn't get ranked yet, but I think you get, you know, you maybe you get like an MVP, or you get like
we said Prates or even Jeff Neal, who pulled out of the Prates fight earlier.
Okay, so Jeff Neal's a good fight. I like
because
that. So,
I'm thinking you come up. This is what I was, and I'm not trying to glaze, right? So even me out if I need to be evened out, right? Because people be hating. They're so on my ass. Like, they're even like, this guy's fucking glazing SD because he wants to do an interview when he gets out of prison. And I'm just like, well, to some degree, it's like, I know the guy, right? So I can speak to him. I can deliver it to you guys. I can't deliver it to him if I fucking trash him and burn the connection. So but I also know him to the point where he told me he has friends who have been shot. So like,
well, you're trying to give him the benefit of the doubt is really what you're doing.
I am, yeah.
That's really what you're doing, because you have a connection with them, which is understandable.
And I do that with a lot of people, especially with the men. You know, I feel like men have to be protected out there too. You know what I mean? And like, when you hear about the, you know, sexual assault allegation, not sexual assault, but, you know, with McGregor and stuff, I just feel like sometimes it's nice to put out both sides of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
But
let me ask you this. Okay. Yeah, great win by Randy Brown. Did his job and got a really good knockout. I mean, it looked Max Holloway-ish. Mm-hmm. I saw a lot of people say that.
So I went on a weird tangent there. So I almost got lost. So yeah, roundabout, right? Give me your thoughts. I feel like Randy Brown should fight Prates or Jeff Neal, and the reason why is because he's coming off a knockout of the year contender. You said Max Holloway-esque, and also I thought he did a good job on the mic. Remember, I was critical of Lerone Murphy for not name dropping and shit like that, and not being present at the moment. Randy, in his post-fight octagon interview, he's like, I got my eyes on the main event tonight. I want Carlos Prates. So boom. I mean, it's super simple.
Okay, so here's let's go down the list, and we actually need to watch the tape of what we said before on some of these fights, because I know we've done multiple welterweight conversations here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so is Brian Battle ahead of Randy Brown?
I don't think Battle's in the rankings.
But Randy Brown isn't. But I'm saying like our top 15, 16 to 20. So would you get a MVP? Kevin Holland's trying to get into there too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mike Malott, Brian Battle, Randy Brown, Gabriel Bonfim. I mean, those are 5 guys right there.
So where are you going at with them?
So Carlos, in my opinion, should fight Jeff Neal.
Run that one back.
Run that back. Set that up. Right?
Okay.
Ian Gary, I think, needs to fight Sean Brady.
I like that. I like that one. They're jawing back and forth right now.
Yeah, and so
Sean Brady. Wait, real quick, just to add to that point, Sean Brady's like Ian Gary, and I don't even like to hype up Brady, so I'm not even gonna make this a hot topic because Brady reacted to Ian Gary, and he said like Ian Gary's saying he's gonna be the backup, and that's gonna make him the number 1 contender. But I'm really the number 1 contender because I got the number, and so Ian can go ahead and weigh in. That doesn't mean shit. So that's what he's kind of saying. My point is they're going back and forth right now. So if you're debating like that over who's getting the spot over what, then you guys have to fight.
Right. And so now, and congrats to Joaquin. Joaquin got the fight he wanted. He's fighting Kamaru Usman at Atlanta. We forgot to bring that up in the beginning of the show as well. So he's going to push Usman out, in my opinion. He's going to get that. And here's another idea. Give Carlos Colby Covington, because he needs to get pushed the fuck out too.
Okay.
Or give Randy Brown Colby. I don't know if Colby would take that fight.
Okay, so how about we meet in the middle there? Because you said a few things. So let's meet in the middle, kind of. I think maybe the best matchup, if we're just trying to come to an agreement, I feel like maybe the best thing to do then, and it's actually best case for Randy Brown, because this is truly what Randy wants. Randy actually truly wants to fight Jeff Neal. Even though he called out Prates, Jeff Neal has that higher ranking. So he feels like he wants the higher ranked guy. I feel like, okay, fine. Give it to him. Like I said, the knockout of the year contender qualifies it. Plus, Jeff pulled out of the fight, so Jeff has to fight out of the rankings now. Mm-hmm. The reason why I think that also makes sense is because how you mentioned Randy versus Colby, I don't think Colby's going to take it because of the ranking. So I think Colby would actually maybe take a Protez fight. And I think Colby could probably have a good chance of exposing a guy like Protez, in his mind at least.
Okay, so okay, it was crazy. So like,
you get the hype, you get the ranking if you're Colby.
Okay, now let's take another step back here. So the Ian Gary Carlos Freitas fight, Ian Gary did what he was supposed to do. Like he completely what I thought about Ian Gary is he had almost 4 or 5 tools in his tool belt, and he used every single one effective versus.
I called that pretty good, didn't I?
Yeah, versus Carlos Freitas. Now, what Carlos Freitas surprised me on, and I kept on saying this, like if he's gonna lose, he's gonna lose on the ground, right? Mm-hmm. But Ian Gary outshined Carlos Freitas on the stand-up game for about 3.5, 4 rounds.
Yeah.
Carlos Freitas' defense was fucking premier, bro.
It was pretty good.
His takedown defense.
Oh, yeah,
He reminded me how BJ Penn would fold up his leg when he would go down and he would try to get back up. I was like, I didn't expect to see that from Carlos Freitas. I was like, oh, that's pretty fucking good, bro. I think it was like 20 takedown attempts. He took him down like 3 or 4 times, but he got back up.
Yeah.
Gary never dominated him on the ground, but I thought what Gary did, what's smart was he kept Carlos Freitas guessing by doing that. He was able to control some of the time in the round and take away Carlos Freitas' biggest strengths.
And that was a big thing we talked about, which is the MMA fighter approach.
And then, in going into that 4th round, that like halfway through the 4th round, Carlos catches him a couple times and cuts Ian Gary. I was like, oh, okay, we're in a fight, but it took him too long to get there.
Yeah.
Ian Gary had built enough reserve in the bank to say, I got 3 rounds, maybe. And I think the final number was like 48-47, 48-47. I think maybe, I forgot what the last one was.
I think so, 49-46 for the last one.
Right. And so like, I even thought to myself, like, they kind of can give him that 4th round because the damage. And then going into the 5th round, you had to be right there. It's like, Carlos was this close.
Yeah, he was super close.
Bro, like, this is close. I think that he was tired. You don't have the awareness anymore. But when he was hammer fisting him a couple times, like, bro, you just got a couple more. You're going to get him. And then just time ran out.
Right.
That's what I thought made him exciting at the end. So for me, that encouraged me for Carlos Freitas' next fight because I think Carlos Freitas watches the tape. He's at home flipping the fucking table, the chairs, like, man, I had him.
Yeah.
I had him. But I don't think in that moment of time he realized how close he was.
Yeah, and also, maybe he should have turned up the pace earlier. Maybe 100%. It speaks to him speaking a little bit conservative because he wasn't sure about the 5 rounds, his gas tank. And in the last round, he's like, all right, I can start going for it. And then it was like, man, damn, you should have gone for it a little sooner.
And he needs to add something to that game because his stand-up game, if it's just that 1-2 like kind of approach, he's going to get those guys that are on the lower level and catch them. But Ian was putting so much pressure on him that he couldn't put those together anymore.
Yeah.
He kept on having to block that high kick, right?
Right.
Ian
and he got hit a few times with that, too.
And so that slows you down. And then Ian Gary was doing really well. He's doing 1, 2, 3 combos. Where was Freitas like combos?
Yeah, well, it speaks to how good Ian is. Ian, like I said, Ian's hard to hit. I almost don't blame Protez very much because Ian's very good.
But I need more. I need another thing in Carlos Freitas' tool. I need to see another thing, like 3, 4 combos. Like we need to see something because if that's the approach you keep on taking, you're gonna keep putting yourself in a position with those top 5 guys.
Right, and that's why
I can see him beating a lot more guys. But when these other guys, they got so much more that they're gonna come at you with that it's not gonna be enough for them.
Right. And, I kind of saw some of that stuff going into it. Obviously, it would have proved if he would have beat Ian, I can't say much. It would have been certified. But that's why when these guys are knocking out these guys all leading up to it, the guys that they should be knocking out, it's one thing. And that's why you just have to hold back some of your reservations when he does take that step up against a guy like Ian, who's actually certified. Yeah. Because, before that, Protez wasn't certified. Now he's pretty much certified, but he has the things he needs to work on to be successful at that level, right? These guys weren't good enough to even teach him how to be good at the top level yet until he fought a guy like Ian Gary. Now we're like, okay, this is what he has to do to be better. But beforehand, we couldn't really see that, I guess you could say.
And I would say this too, like, even talking about like, his cardio, dude, his cardio was there.
No, and I'm not going to say anything about Carlos anymore. So let me say, no more. I'll leave Carlos alone. I said he was one liver shot away from getting knocked out, right? Because of the alcohol. Ian was the one who had Ian got hurt to the body in that 5th or 4th round. So Carlos never got hurt to the body. So he debunked me there. I said Ian can't go 5 rounds, or Carlos can't go 5 rounds. Carlos went all 5 rounds and beat Ian Gary in the 5th round with the cigarette smoking on fight week. So Carlos, hey, I won't say anything anymore. I'm not going to take it all back, but you proved me wrong. How about that? You proved me wrong. I won't talk shit about it anymore.
I would just like to see him I'd like to see him in a training camp where like they focus on another thing to add to his game. So
they got it there. Kaio's good at grappling.
I don't know what it is. Like for me, it's like, yeah, you can do that 1-2, but we need 1, 2, 3, 4, like in a kick. We need a leg kick. We gotta add something else. We just have to.
Well, maybe that's the transition. Maybe he watches tape and his coaches see the same thing you're talking about. Maybe more. Maybe they see more.
Yeah.
Because they are experts, right? So whatever we're saying they can do, I'm sure they got 10 other suggestions.
Yeah. Because I think too, when you get to that level, the top 3 to 5, you're good at 4 or 5 different things, To
be the best.
To be the best. So,
Sean Strickland got lucky with that matchup with Izzy, because Sean's a striker, Izzy's a kickboxer,
and that's a matchup right. Matchups can make fights, right? And his style versus his style, Sean just had his number.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll leave it on that. So I think we both agree that Ian should fight Sean Brady. I think you could build it up. You could do that. Now
Protez Covington.
I love that. Or give him Jeff Neal. Let them run that. And then Randy Brown, where did we land with that one?
That's why that's why I say, because Randy told me in the interview that just dropped, Randy told me he would prefer Jeff Neal. So if he would prefer Jeff Neal to make it all fit like a puzzle, then give Colby Protez.
What do you think about Kevin Holland, Randy Brown?
Kevin Holland's already fighting Luque.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. So it's kind of.
So here's the thing, like we got Mike Malott about to fight. Brian Battle's probably looking for somebody too. We have Randy Brown right there. Gabriel Bonfim. Those 4 guys right there are in that 16 to 20 spot. I don't know who. I'm trying to think at the top of my head.
But if you take Gabriel Bonfim, right? This is why Gabriel's he's not as much in the conversation, because the competition that these guys have fought, Randy Brown has fought Bilal Muhammad and JDM. Jeff Neal, you know what I mean, has fought Ian Gary, all these big names. He's fought Shaw.
You know what? I agree with you on that.
So it's like these guys, they're in that upper echelon, regardless of ranking.
And here's the thing too. This is why I feel like what I said in the beginning. Where was that during Brian Battle? If you're fighting those guys of level of competition, let's take Brian Battle's resume and let's take Randy Brown's resume. If we were to put him, we're going to take Randy Brown's resume over Brian Battle. Brian Battle has not fought that level of competition yet.
Right.
You just said 3 or 4 guys that are the top guys in that division who Randy Brown has faced.
Right.
Has been able to enter the arena there, and he let us down with the Brian Battle fight.
Right. Let me put it like, and let me say it like this too then, right? I think he's also been so invested in by the UFC. He's been in the promotion for a long time. He's not old, but he's obviously not like 31, 32. He's in his like middle 30s. So the time is now for Randy Brown.
But the time is definitely now.
So give him the time. The time is now. Give him the time. It's basically sink or swim at this point. You've come up, you've fallen. You've come up, you've fallen. We're going to give you one more chance to come up. If you fall, there's probably not going to be more shots from there. Like we like to say on the show, the light will get a whole lot dimmer.
He's 34.
Yeah, so he's not super old by any means, right? He has a couple prime years. Give him Jeff Neal.
Or MVP.
Or MVP. People are calling for MVP.
I like that. I like the MVP fight. Someone in the ring. You got to.
But why not a Jeff Neal? Why so opposed to Jeff Neal?
No, I'm not. Actually, I'm honestly, I'm not. I'm not. Give him someone in the rankings to give him the permission to get in.
But okay, here's my thing too, and this is great. We're just chopping it up about Randy, but it's like, I feel like there's an argument. People think Randy should have maybe got a ranking as is right now off of that last win. I'm not saying he should have, but I'm just saying there's an argument for it.
And it's hard to do that because you came off a loss. If
Right.
you came off that win and this win, I think we have a different conversation. But the thing is,
go ahead.
You have to push MVP out then.
Yeah, and so fair enough. I think this, right? And then tell me your final thoughts on the topic, and we'll move to the next one real quick. But I think how it goes, how I always speak about things. Randy, with him putting a name on Prates and with him getting that knockout of the year, I think you reward him for it. With Jeff Neal, you don't give him Prates, but you give him Jeff Neal. And the reason why too, if Randy were to get a boring decision, I'd be like, okay, give him the number 15 ranked guy, give him MVP. But because he's showing that he's understanding the game, I'm like, give him a lot. But again, I'm saying, if you lose to Jeff Neal, you don't get that push anymore.
Oh yeah, or I like Stephen Thompson too in that.
Okay, Stephen Thompson too, but I guess Stephen Thompson's calling for Prates, so there's a lot going on in that little mix of things.
That's not a bad call out.
Not a bad, because you're even throwing Bonfim in there. I know you're high on Bonfim, but I guess it's more so like Wonder Boy, Randy, Colby, Jeff Neal, those MVP.
You know what would be cool?
MVP Bonfim?
Yeah, I would watch that all day. Yeah.
I
think it would be cool if they did like a tournament for the 16 to 20 guys. Yeah, Gabriel Bonfim versus Mike Malott. Let's see if Mike Malott gets his win this weekend.
Bonfim's already booked. We gotta wait till Bonfim fights to think about the next thing. He's fighting Malott?
No. Mike Malott fights this weekend.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, he fights UFC 315. I'm sorry, in Canada.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
Yeah, so Mike Malott's fighting. But like that'd be a fun tournament. Mike Malott, Brian Battle, Randy Brown, Gabriel Bonfim.
It's a lot of guys who aren't in the rankings.
I know
that have a lot of potential.
That are really good. Yeah.
And the top of the division is Premier as well.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Hey, just because it popped on my head, the Buckley interview is coming soon. We got him secured. We're just gonna lock in a date.
Nice.
So we got the Buckley interview locked in.
Okay.
Yeah, locked in. I'm gonna text him tonight just to be like, yo, what date you thinking? But we already got it worked out. It's just he's working on his schedule for this week, so I had to reach back out.
There we go.
So yeah, Randy Brown, shout out Randy. Yeah, I guess UFC KC, and we can probably wrap it up with unless there's any other hot topic. UFC Iowa, not UFC KC. There's also Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero, which is a bigger fight, but I haven't thought about UFC.
Is that this weekend?
It's actually Friday.
Oh, a couple of days from now.
Yeah, and then you got Canelo, Mexico's fucking star.
You know how much I don't watch boxing, though.
I know you don't. I'll give you a little preface on the Ryan Garcia.
I didn't even know what Parry punch was.
I know, which is funny. That proves the point. Because I've always been hard on you. I'm like, bro, you should fucking appreciate boxing more. Now I'm like, all right, it's no gimmick. You really don't appreciate boxing too much, which is fine. At least
I'm a casual.
Let me say this and then give me some of your thoughts on Iowa. But I got to get this one off my chest.
Okay.
Corey Sandhagen's promotion before the fight. Did you see his office type skits type thing?
No, I've seen him do a couple things, but I don't think I saw that.
Maybe it's not The Office, but it's like this awkward style of vlogging. Have you seen it or no?
I don't think so.
So he does this
on his Instagram?
Yeah, you should pull it up maybe and watch it real quick.
Go ahead, though.
Okay. So he's been doing this thing, and I think it's because his argument is that he's not a big star.
Okay.
So he's like starting this YouTube channel, and he's the main event, so he's trying to promote his fight by dropping these weekly like funny episodes of him like making fun of his quirkiness.
Okay.
That's basically what it is in a nutshell. And I'm like, bro, like these guys do not get the game at all. Like I'm not even trying to hate. I feel like I just call it down the middle. Like
he has more followers than I expected.
Okay, but hear me out. You can like that's fine that he's doing that skit or whatever, but if your intention should be this. How can I get more people to watch my fight? How can I get more people to buy my fight? You making fun of the fact that nobody wants to watch you.
It's a bad gimmick.
I mean, if you want to have a funny YouTube channel, then by all means. But if you want to be a fighter and promote your main event to have the most eyes on it, if you're going to ask me this, right? How many people are going to tune in because of those videos that he posted on YouTube? I doubt very many.
Right. It's not going to correlate.
Even if you got like 20,000 views on that video, it's like, yeah, it's not going to correlate.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, because all we really want to see is the training footage, the fucking, you know, the conviction, running miles, putting in hours, you know?
Right.
Like
the grind you're putting in, the grind. Yeah.
That's all we want. That's all we fall for.
That's true. That's true.
It's super simple.
Like that take. I actually like that take. That's very true. Because if I think about when I start rooting for a fighter, damn, that motherfucker's putting in the work.
Like, he's hungry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or
that
you're just elite. Or you're just elite and you can do things that I can't do as a human being, which just I have to watch it, right? A guy who can bench press 500 pounds, it's hard to take your eyes off of it.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus Christ.
And now I remember what I watched was him about the shrooms.
Yeah, again, that's the whole style of thing he does, which is fine. He went viral for that. Some people posted it, but again, how many people are gonna watch your fight because you're making up something about like the shrooms?
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
That's not gonna translate over to this.
And so
that's a good point. Actually, that's a good take. You know, I respect that. Yeah, I agree with that.
And again, like the weird thing too is then he comes to the media day because it's like this. These guys seem to be aware that they're not like, you know, pushing the envelope or like moving the needle. Yeah. So they do these things and then it's not even like helping your cause.
Genuine. Yeah.
And then but you're aware of the situation and then you show up to media day with the same kind of like blandness.
Yeah.
And his media day was okay. I'm not trying to fully hate on it, but it's like that's what you should have invested all your time in this meantime is coming to media day and making the most of that little envelope of time. That little 12 minutes, calling your shot. I want the title shot after this. I'm a whole new fighter. You know what I mean? I've been putting in hours of work. Nobody's going to take this food off my plate. Like, that's all we care about. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just show us that you're hungry as fuck and you're like a dog who's been caged for like 2 weeks. And like, we'll just fucking buy in.
That Joaquin promo video he put out, that was super good.
Yeah, a hitman for the UFC.
I was very impressed with that.
Right, a hitman from the UFC visiting his mom at the grave. That's the kind, like, it's super simple. You don't gotta fucking...
he created a movie almost that was like proed into a promo video that I'm assuming he the UFC didn't create that. He created that.
On his own, because he's trying to promote himself just like Corey Sandhagen is. And do you see the contrast?
Yeah, no, that was really good.
Super good.
Yeah.
So, you know, dropping a promo for your fight, and then at the end of that video, right, it's like, boom, the poster of the fight.
Let me ask you this, since we're on this. You see Ariel hating on Joaquin earlier this week?
Oh, yeah, Ariel's got a big beef with Joaquin.
Why?
Because Joaquin called him out for something when he went on his show last year.
All kinds of people call fucking Ariel out. Like, I didn't get that. And I understand he had Ian Gary on, so like, you know, he's using some juice to squeeze out of Ian, but
Ariel's dedicated his platform almost to shutting down Joaquin's career. And me and Joaquin, that's why Ariel can't fuck with us.
Interesting. You know what's funny, bro? I don't know if you saw this in the homie chat where the dude was ragging on Ariel of that he met him a few years back and how much like of a what word do I want to use? Like a conniving guy he was, like backstabbing people.
Honestly, bro, I'm not a fan of Ariel, and I used to be. I came into the sport a big fan of Ariel's journalism, and I still respect his work, as far as like what he's accomplished. But I don't know, man. It's just Ariel. There's just something about him that just doesn't connect with me.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I could find this for you. I actually forgot about that.
You know what I was thinking too?
Here it is.
Okay.
So, fun Ariel backstory. So, one of my best friends was involved with writing a New York Times best-selling book. When I covered my first UFC event as credentialed media, my buddy was my credentialed photographer. He introduces me to Ariel as he obviously knows him well. Ariel was kind as he can be, super friendly. We talked a good 30 minutes. Fast forward to just 3 months later at another UFC event, we're waiting for media scrum for this the fighters to get there. I walked up to say hello to Ariel, and dude completely shined me on and acted like, who the fuck are you? Each event I saw him afterwards, he was always super rude to everyone. Another media member said to me, now you know why he sits alone at all the media lunches and dinners. Mm-hmm. Like he doesn't give a fuck who he fucks over.
He doesn't give a fuck about a lot of people, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I got a lot of like. I wasn't prepared to share my opinion on Ariel, but I'm not too big of a fan of him. I mean, for a lot of reasons. I don't know where I could pin the blame fully, but I guess if you want me to pin it a little bit, I just feel like Ariel does a lot of like the like me. I'm real. I'm just like a real guy. Like I said, even with my podcast, like I just interview people I like, right? People who I actually fuck with, who I like as fighters. Ariel's whole show and whole like rhythm behind the show. I mean, like I get like he has to interview people he truly doesn't like underneath because they won the main event last week.
Sure.
And so for me, like that's a guy for doing that year after year after year. You know what I mean? Just being fake like that. Because I do think that's kind of fake when you have to interview the guy who won the main event last week. You know, but in this game, there's all these relationships. You know.
Well, I mean, there's something to be said within media, right? Like, you know, you're covering the sport, so you should cover the winner, you know, like him or dislike him. That's why I think I like Rampage when he goes on there, because Rampage always talks shit.
Yeah, and I see a point to that. But it's like I just find
you're covering the sport, you know what I mean? You are covering the sport, right? And so it would be smart for you to cover the person that just won, because that's going to give you the most views of what's going on within the sport.
Yes.
In my opinion, anyway.
And that's a fair approach, but I do think like that gets you in situations where like, okay, right? Let me put it like this. The reason why Joaquin and Ariel don't get along, right? I guess here's some lore behind it. The reason why is because Ariel had Joaquin on when Joaquin had that spinning kick knockout, right?
Okay.
So then he had him on. Again, the clout chase. I guess that's part of what I'm saying without saying it. When somebody does something like that, you have him on whether you were a fan of him or not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so that's one thing, and that was the start of their relationship. So I cut Ariel some slack, but here's where their relationship went wrong. After that, Ariel never had him on again after several wins and stuff like that, until Joaquin walked out with the police guy. You know, Dust, Detroit Urban Survival Training. He was viral a couple years ago.
Yeah, I can kind of picture him. Yeah, I think I know you.
Joaquin,
where he like takes the gun away real quick.
Joaquin, yeah, exactly that guy. Joaquin brought him out to an event, one of his fights, and had him corner him. And so basically, from Joaquin's spinning kick to when Joaquin had the Detroit Urban Survival guy corner him, there was like 5 or 6 fights in between that. And only until he had a viral guy come on, Ariel decided to call him after that win.
I see.
So yeah, Joaquin, but to finish that off, right? Joaquin was like, came on the show, and Ariel was like, "Are you mad that I didn't hit you up like, you know, for a long time or something like that?" And Joaquin is like, "No, I get the game, like it is what it is," and thought like maybe that was gonna be the start of their relationship. Joaquin wins another like, you know, 3 or 4 fights, doesn't get a call until he wins the main event of Vicente Luque. But at that point, you already established to Joaquin that you don't really fuck with him. A real guy like that, you've established to him, like, I don't really fuck with you. I'm only having you on for these big moments, but I'm not really, like, behind you, so to speak. And so when Joaquin came on his show after he won the main event, he basically called Ariel out and was just like, yeah, man, I mean, like, it's cool that I'm on the show. Like, you know, you didn't have me on for all this other time and stuff like that, but I guess it is what it is, even though the last time we talked about that and you felt bad for doing that, and then you did the same thing to me again.
Yeah.
And so Joaquin felt the disingenuousness, which is what I'm kind of accusing Ariel's show of being, which is like, okay, so now that I won the main event, you want to have me on your show, and I'm supposed to be grateful for this opportunity. It's one of those things, you know?
And it's part of the game, too. It's part of the industry.
It is, but that's also what happens when Ariel had no competition for the longest time.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, you know, I kind of came in here, and now a guy like Joaquin doesn't have to fucking be fake grateful to be on Ariel's show, because he's not the only platform who can really push him. You know? But when Ariel is the only platform that can push you, I think that's why Ariel's gotten away with his little gimmick for a long time. But I see his show, you know, nowadays, and he has to have guests on every day. It's not my cup of tea. That's all it is. It's just not my cup of tea.
Like, you know, I'm a love-hate relationship with Ariel. So.
I know you got both sides, Jim. I think you watch every week, right?
Or
you watch
at least once a week. At least once a week.
Yeah, I used to be an avid watcher, but I really only watch, like, I watched the Randy Brown interview. But he has random guests on. I don't really watch.
Yeah, I didn't watch the Randy Brown one.
Okay. We went on a tangent there, but I think we were gonna go on UFC Iowa, right?
All right, Sandhagen. We were talking about Sandhagen.
Sandhagen. So I just want to say, oh yeah, that's right. And I want to say this about Bo.
Your boy.
He's another one who doesn't get the game. So do you see Bo's approach?
He's almost fighting the current though.
He's fighting the current, and that's exactly what his approach is this week. Have you seen it? So Bo's approach this week is he's stepping on the scale, right, trolling his fans. This is his attempt at selling the fight.
You went overweight? I mean,
and he's like, oh my God, I'm 222.
Yeah, I did see that.
And it's just like, dude, like, I don't, do you want to help yourself or not? Like, I don't give a fuck. Honestly, I don't. But it's like, if you're going to spend the time to try to go viral or try to stir up attention, at least do it right. At least at the end of it, stir up attention for your fight. If I was gonna say, like, okay, let me do something to stir up to get views for my interview, and I do something that gets me no views for my interview,
right?
That's what Bo is doing. Like, okay, you're 20 pounds overweight. We know you're trolling. I know it's gonna get a lot of likes on social media, but like, where's the translation? Where does it pay off? Where are the dollar signs?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. You have to open my eyes to something today when it comes to that side of it.
Yeah, it's not just about like, oh, I had a post, because even too, right? You got Full Send being like, hey, Bo, so I guess you came into fight week super overweight this week, right? It like, okay, guys, all right, like it's like okay.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Bo, we all want to know: are you going to grapple this guy or not? And then Bo falls back into his boring ass fucking ways because he's a little bit traumatized of all the criticism he got. And he's like, oh, I'm just grateful for the opportunity. I'm down to grapple. But mostly I'm just grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful to be training every day. I'm grateful to show my skills. I'm grateful. Oh my God, shut the fuck up.
Woo.
And that's what you're saying, right? About the people you're speaking to, right? Before this, you told me off there, you're like, oh, I don't want dogs. So I'll leave that shit out.
I don't care at this point.
You get my point. Bo Nickel, I'm not going to say it, but you know what I'm saying. People just have to kind of, this is an inside joke a little bit, but I'm speaking to you. Bo's kind of like that, where it's like, he's just kind of like, the motions a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and I think, like, I wasn't
I'm grateful
happy
for the opportunity. I'm happy to display my skills.
That's his fallback, right?
You're falling into like a weird, that's your way of pushing away.
Yeah. Well, and it's almost like a way of like, if I lose, I'm just grateful to be here. I'm just learning.
Yeah. Grateful for the opportunity.
It's a safety net.
Yeah.
I've noticed that with other people in different sports too, where they kind of throw that out there, and it's like, who else does that? He just did it too. Colby does it to a certain extent. I forgot who just did it.
Colby's a shout out to the first responders.
There's someone that just did something like that, and I'm all like, all right, bro, all right. Like, I'm just grateful to be fighting, just like that's a easy answer to kind of get out. But RDR, Renier de Ritter, I mean, I wasn't heavy on him. I wasn't high on him, but he's been slowly impressing me. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to see what happens in this fight.
Yeah. And super simple, but RDR I saw a clip that he did, and it's already 10 times better promo than what Bo did, which is simply like, yeah, it seems like a lot of people don't like Bo Nickel. I get a lot of support from all kinds of countries, a lot of people commenting and messaging me saying that they want me to beat Bo's ass.
Nice.
That's all you have to fucking say. You're not even talking shit. You're just telling us what people are DMing you.
Yeah.
But Bo is like above that. Bo is like, oh, the people who comment and the people who send those messages are just 12-year-old kids who are pieces of shit. So when you think like that, you're like, you don't give it the shine when like somebody asks you in media and about that, you're like, oh yeah, these messages are just from like online troll accounts. I'm not gonna. But that's what people want to hear.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Tell us what the troll accounts are saying to you, Bo. That's what we want to know. Not how much overweight you are.
Yeah.
That's all. Like, these guys.
Who do you got?
For Bo?
Yeah.
Honestly, with the shit that Bo does, it's like, we can't do nothing for you, bro. This place ain't for you, bro. Go to fucking Bellator. Like, so RDR. Even if you do win, Bo, the ceiling is like, I'm sick of you.
Yeah, I've counted RDR out the past 2 times. I'm gonna take him this time.
Okay. And I'll say one last thing about Bo, right? I think Bo has a disconnection with the media because, again, I'm like a big combat sports fan, so I even follow like college wrestling, right? College wrestling is kind of, to give you a comparison, because I think you can relate to this. Do you ever watch NBA or NFL press conferences compared to like the UFC ones?
Yeah, to an extent, yeah.
And the NFL ones, do you notice how they're almost enemies with the media? It's very
100%.
contentious.
100%.
But in the UFC, it's not super contentious, right? It's kind of like a dance. In the UFC, the media's tossing up these softballs, and it's all kind of a dance. Like Dana's expected to kind of go viral in these moments. But in the NFL, when the media tosses up a softball, when the media tosses up a softball, like the NFL coach doesn't want to go viral.
Oh no, dude! Like there's moments where it's like, so after that performance, do you expect to get fired on Monday?
I saw that. That was a good one, and I want more of that in the UFC.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. And the coach is like, dude, fuck you, man.
I want somebody to ask Amanda Nunes, why have you sold 3 of the fucking lowest pay-per-views? I want that shit in the UFC. But anyway, my point is, Bo Nickel comes from college wrestling, and I say all that to say, college wrestling with the media, especially being from Penn State where he's at. All of his teammates, I watch all their media because they're a really good college team. They're all like that, like the NFL relationship with media. They shut it down. They don't answer questions. It's kind of contentious. So that's why Bo doesn't translate over here with media and stuff, because Bo is media trained on like an NFL level where it's a little bit contentious. That's why he says like, I'm happy. I'm grateful to be here. Happy for the opportunity, because that's what like NFL players say all the time.
Well, here's the difference too, though. If you think about it, that in the NFL and the NBA, it's so cutthroat that you have, and your job is to ask the hard question, love me or hate me. And so they're in that job, and they're probably usually covering for that city, the New York ABC News, the New York, let's just use New York as an example. CBS News, CNN, ESPN. You have all these highly credited companies that are in there, and you probably have 50 outlets in there. So they're just dying to get a question. You know what I mean? Like headlines. Hey, then your newspaper you're working for, we need a headline. Like fucking go in there.
The competition is crazy.
Competition. But in the UFC, people are so like dying to get into the media space to ask a question that they don't want to shuffle any feathers. So they want to bend over backwards. Oh, thank you, Dana, for letting me in. Thank you, UFC, for letting me in. I just saw, so they're giving you more softball questions.
Right.
You don't have these like really like, veteran media guys that are going in there like not giving a fuck what you think about them. They know they're going to keep their job. They know they're going to be allowed back. And so they can ask harder questions. That's what it's missing.
Right. And well, let me also open your mind to something else, though. I think a big difference between the two, why it's kind of different, aside from what you just said, is because in the UFC, you have to sell an event, right? With the NFL, you don't have to sell anything. And same with college wrestling and college sports. You don't have to sell anything. The event is the event, right? And so you can't exactly take, like, Bo Nickel, who's trained on that level of things, you can't come into the UFC and think that your training is going to translate, because you have to throw everything out of the window. Here is where you sell. Here is where you create pressure for yourself, because that's the only thing that draws up money.
That makes sense.
If all you can say before a title fight is, I'm grateful for the opportunity, nobody's going to watch that title fight and buy it, where you're getting the dollars at the end of the day, which is the pay-per-view buys.
No, I see what you're saying. Basically, is like, if I'm an NBA team, my job is to go out and play.
Right. Not add pressure to myself.
I don't need to sell this.
No, not at all.
Please come watch me. Come watch us play this weekend. Blah, 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 blah.
Doesn't matter.
That's the NBA's job.
Yeah.
Right.
Commercials, all that stuff. ESPN.
Right. UFC is different. You even have your own spokesman coming out after doing press conferences, hyping it up, doing drops, doing this, doing that. It's set up completely different. You're 100% right on that. Definitely.
So with that being said, Bo, you got to recognize where you're at, brother. And, it is what it is. Now, I guess I'm white. My grandma's white, so I could say this, even though MTK is like, you ain't white. But I'm only co-signing myself because I want to say, Is it coincidental that like, you know, and it's a don't answer this if you feel like it's controversial, but it's like, you know, you got Corey Sandhagen, Bo Nickel, these two white guys trying to promote themselves, and it's the fucking most blandest shit I've ever fucking seen in my life. Like, I'm sure it is a coincidence to some degree because DDP's funny as fuck, but DDP's also African, you know, where there's culture. White culture, you know, my grandma, rest in peace to my grandma. I used to be hard on my grandma because my grandma used to make things kind of boring.
It's bland.
It's like these fucking white guys, man.
Yeah, I get it.
Shout out to them. I love them, you know what I mean? But it's funny. I had to bring it up. But seriously, try to fucking, on a serious note, try to fucking be more entertaining because like that stuff ain't it unless you just want to have a YouTube channel. I think that's pretty much it. Let me just go through.
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
Can we react to Buckley's video real quick? We have to.
All right.
Okay, go on his social media.
No, I saw it. The one with the Ian's wife.
Okay, we have two. Yeah, Ian's wife.
Okay, what's the other one?
Let's do Ian's wife first since we just brought it up.
What was the other one? Because maybe I watched that one too.
Okay, the other one was after fucking UFC Kansas City. Joaquin went to like his hotel gym, and he was there with his coach, his two coaches, and he fucking like crashed out in the video and like threw his fucking headphones against the wall, like went up to his coach, he shook his coach. It was like a wild video. He was like amped the fuck up.
I don't think I saw that one.
Go watch it. He was working out and then like crazy workout.
It's
and
on
then,
his Instagram?
Yeah, and then he like went up to his coach. He's like, we're here now. He was going crazy.
All right.
But it's super like, it's another one of those like almost motivational videos. I'm almost making it seem corny, so pull it up. It was actually a lot better. And it was immediately after the event. Like he's putting in this crazy work like right after that fight. That's my point. Pull it. You got it?
And I think at that time, I'm pulling it up right now. I think at that time the Kamaru Usman fight was already announced, right?
Yeah, so he's like just motivated, you know. It's the one where he's running on the treadmill with the cross on his chest, the white cross, with the over the head headphones and the gloves in his hand.
I'm pulling it up right now. Let's see here. Cross.
He's down here doing a one-handed dumbbell press. This guy's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, it's two below that one.
Oh, two below that one?
If you go that one, two below, it's right there. Him running on the treadmill. See him running with the white cross?
No. I don't know why, though. Oh, yeah, okay. Now I see it.
Click on that video. It's actually pretty motivational. I feel like I made it sound corny. I mean, maybe it is a little bit corny, but it's pretty motivational.
This was after the Ian Gary fight, is what you're saying?
Yeah, immediately after the fight, that same night. Barefoot on the treadmill. He probably forgot his running shoes or some shit. I'm just saying, that work ethic is fucking crazy. Fighters don't do that. Which is kind of surprising. A lot of these guys aren't who they say they are. Joaquin is that guy who he says he is. Are you listening, though, with sound? He goes up to his coach and, like, throws his headphones off.
Roswell. That is very motivational.
Right? Super motivational.
Yeah.
He's like, we here now. We here now.
Yeah, no, passion. Yeah, the passion.
The passion.
Yeah.
And you see his coach is like...
Like, all right, dog.
But what you going to say to him in that moment, you know? And then there was another video of him, too, where he was, like, in the arena, like this kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And there's clips of him other people filmed it. He reposted it on his story. But other people were filming him in between the rounds and shit. He was doing push-ups on the floor.
Oh, wow.
Just crazy work. You know, this guy's, like, motivated on a whole nother level. How many contenders, right, go to fights? Contenders go to fights all the time.
Yeah.
Ilya Poirier went to Max Holloway's fight. Was he doing push-ups on the floor in between? It's just, and no, it's nothing bad. It's no knock on Ilya. It's just like Buck's hungry as fuck, dude. This guy's like on a crazy fucking grind right now.
Super on a mission.
On a mission. And I guess the the wife thing with Ian Gary. Mixed review. You got some people uncomfortable with it. I think it's funny. I also think that it wasn't his intentions to maybe like stir up drama with his wife. He was going for Gary, but the media, like us, we're kind of pinning him against his wife.
Yeah, no, I thought it was funny.
I thought it was great timing.
Yeah, I thought it was funny because she did kind of like grab him by, it looked
She
the
did.
way it may look the way it looks like I even reposted it on YouTube channel, and we quoted we said when Ian Gary's wife flirts with Joaquin Buckley.
Yeah.
Because
you could say it based off the arm touch.
Well, the way, just kind of like and it was the way the camera angle was too, right? Probably she was like, hey, not now or something, but you could spin it however you want to spin it.
You can.
And he's narrating it, which is funny too. So like he's narrating it towards like, hey,
Yeah. Do you think that she should have had more presence of mind to not touch him?
Good question.
Because I feel like if I'm Ian Gary, I'm kind of like, yo, you shouldn't have fucking touched him.
Yeah.
Look what you did. Look what you started with me. That's why you don't fucking touch him.
And she didn't look mad.
She's like smiling at him.
Yeah.
Again, she's probably being nice. She's just a girl, right?
She probably was being nice.
Yeah.
She wasn't thinking about that side of it.
She's thrown off.
Yeah,
Buck just showed up right there.
If I was Ian Gary, I'd be pissed.
It's like, now I gotta deal with all this media shit.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel bad for Ian because it's like ruining his fucking.
Because you could probably do that same video and put it in slow motion and just like have her like, and it could look like super sensual.
It's like that's his girl. Like he doesn't want that shit on the internet.
It's his wife, his baby mama. Yeah.
I feel like, hey, women out there, for your man, you gotta have the presence of mind.
Well,
do not touch him.
Yeah. And her backstory too, like writing a book about how to like what was it?
How to get a famous athlete.
Right.
How to be a wife and girlfriend.
Right. She already got that Shannon Sharp, effect right now.
Yeah. So a little lesson out there.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it. We were gonna talk about Ryan Roley. We don't have to. It's a good fight though. I would tune in.
Okay.
Because to be honest, I'm kind of casual. Like Haney, I don't even know the guy he's fighting. Also, Teofimo Lopez, I don't know the guy he's fighting. But those three guys, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, Teofimo, they're all really good talents. So if you got nothing to do on Friday, tap in.
All right.
I'll post some of the highlights, though, so you can see it there.